and I'm your African history teacher, Professor Hicks. And welcome back. I haven't seen you in some time. I'm trying to adjust my scene here. Hopefully it's coming out right. It looks a little blurry. I think I need to take off some of the glare in the back, but I'm going to leave it because I'm only going to be on hopefully for about 15 or 20 minutes. So I want to get right to it. I want to say thank you for my subscribers. They are few, but they are powerful, and they are driving my station. Secondly, I want to thank all the viewers who've attuned to my channel and who find interest in some of the things that I'm discussing, particularly on this topic that I will be continuing today, and I believe this will be my last class on this topic. But why and how many Latinos / Hispanics designate themselves as white, and those attitudes that accompany that designation. So again, please subscribe. Please subscribe. I need subscribers. I need you guys to show me up. The viewers are outclassing us, guys. They're just relentless, man. They're everywhere. The viewers, I love them. All right, but please continue to do so. So let's get right with it. You know, since our last discussion, I have been the brunt of two racially microaggression attitudes by our Latino / Hispanic family. And as you can see, they are still my brothers and sisters. You see, one thing unique about African Americans, since we were the very first humans, there's one thing I refuse to give up, and that is my humanity. And though we have been horrifically treated by the Europeans in this country for over 300 years and counting, I refuse to give up my humanity. And if you look at the cultural continuity of Africans, you will see that all over the planet. I give you no larger example than Nelson Mandela. Someone incarcerated, tortured, beaten, and his people killed for over 20 years, but was still able to come out, understand, respect, and love European people. That is our way. We were the first humans, and that is what keeps us human. I will not give up my humanity because a group of people or a person suffers from psychological damage and emotional damage. And we're going to talk about that today. I'm going to have two broadcasts today. One I'm having now, and I will have a deeper broadcast later on. So let's quickly get to let's talk about slavery for a minute, the 13th, 14th, and the 15th Amendment. And one of those amendments that we, meaning African people, particularly African Americans, fought, died for, were tortured for, that we ourselves pushed this government, forced this government into making an amendment to the Constitution. Now, for those who need a little history lesson, amendments are addendums to a Constitution. They amend or they correct portions of the Constitution. The first 10 amendments were added to the Constitution based on your forefathers who came to this country demanding that before the Constitution be ratified, that certain amount of changes be done to the Constitution. Those changes are called the amendments. The slaughtering, the outright slaughter of black babies during slavery. Yes, babies were killed, their heads were bashed against trees. Some of them in Louisiana area were fed to the alligators as sport. Women tortured, impregnated, and killed at the whim of a slave master just because he felt like it. children, as we see today, killed at the behest of nothing but a suggestion of a wrongdoing. Enslaved, not because sometimes for labor, but because of the color of your skin. There's a great movie I'm sure many of you have not seen. I'm sure you've seen all the Superman movies, Daredevils, the Fantastic Four, and all of those, but I bet you haven't seen the movie by Will Smith called Emancipation. Watch that movie so that you, particularly my Hispanic brothers and sisters, or Latino, I hate the Hispanic stuff, but it's going to go there today. Look at that movie so you can get an idea of what your black and African brothers and sisters did and what happened to us just so that you can have the opportunity to call us niggers or whatever other horrible term you use to refer to us in your language amongst your folks. Yes, watch that movie just as an example of why you are able to be here and come to this, which I still consider great country, because we made it great. Not MAGA, not Donald Trump. No, because you wouldn't have want to come here in that time and period. You sure wouldn't have want to be here during that time and period. You wouldn't want to see America be great again like that. Boxing contests. You watch boxing, I watch it. Of little young boys during the slavery period put in the ring until they beat each other to death, with the winner receiving a small gift from the slave master. That's how boxing got started in this country. One of the ways. Yes, 5 to 10 boys pushed into a ring, beating each other unconsciously till the winner emerges and giving a small trinket for his deeds. Buck breaking. I bet you haven't heard of this, huh? Buck breaking, where young, black, strapping, strong young men were laid out on the ground in front of all the other slaves and sodomized by the slave master or whoever he chose, sometimes choosing another slave to do it. Not only was he sodomized, but he might be told to sodomize his own mother as a means to control the mass of slaves on the property. Women selected specifically to breed. In 1830, the British outlawed slavery. And those slave ships that continued to run were American slave ships. But they couldn't get their cargo from Africa anymore, so how did they do it? They started to breed us. Yes, slave breeding. And make the biggest and best of us to work in their farms. It was called buck breaking. Our women being selectively raped whenever they felt like raping us. George Washington died of a cold. You know how he got that cold? Walking to and from the slave quarters to have sex with our young women. Imagine, ladies who are watching, telling your daughter that the slave master is coming in about an hour and he's going to have sex with you, and you must let him, allow him, give him yourself to him. Imagine, sisters, having to tell your baby that. Imagine the psychological, emotional ramifications historically in your DNA that you pass down to your other children. Imagine the effects of such a discussion. These are just some of the horrors, just a few superficial ones that we as African people in this country have gone through so that you, my Latino brothers and sisters, can come here and call us niggers, as one did to me. Several. I'll tell you my story later today, but not now. And how about our men being selectively raped by other men, other slave masters, as just a convenient sexual deviation? Not because they had to, because they wanted to. But still, we rise. Despite all of those atrocities that went on and still go on, as a people, we still rise. Because we are a great and unique people. That's why it's confounding on why some of us want to be white. I'm now talking about those blacks who want to acculturate to being white. Like our Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, married to a white woman, denies his black ancestry. Why? A brilliant man. You learn something in this wonderful world of the United States, Western society, that intelligence does not make it not happen. Many of these people were highly intelligent, but nonetheless, their bestiality emerged. But still, we rise. Then came something called the Civil War. Yes, the Civil War. When white folks killed each other over us. Killed each other to the tune of over 850,000 men were killed in the Civil War. Do you know that? Do you know that World War I, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War, no war exceeded the number of dead and wounded than the Civil War? Over 800,000, 4 years killed over slavery. So that you, my Latino brothers and sisters, those who know who I'm talking to, not the ones we love, can call us niggers. That war brought us something called Reconstruction. Because in 1865, after we won the war, never let it, listen, know your history to get rid of the mystery. We Africans won that war. President Lincoln, who decided and made jokes about African people. You know, one of the things, you ought to watch the movie Lincoln and see how Lincoln was pushed to glory, pushed into emancipation. But one of the things about Lincoln, you see in that movie, that he loved to tell jokes. What they don't tell you in the movie is that he loved to tell black jokes, nigger jokes. He was a racist as well. Read the books. Don't listen to Professor Hicks. I've read 3 autobiographies from him. And it's well known that he talked about black people like a dog. It is well known out of his own mouth that he was prejudiced and racist, wanting to send us to Liberia and separate us, get us out the country, get them niggas out. He did not win the Civil War. We won the Civil War. 265,000 black troops, the colored, U.S. colored troops, won the war, folks. Look it up. Read your history. Slave rebellions. Slave rebellions. We didn't take it. We fought from the minute we were on the slave ships to the minute we got off, and continued to fight. Self-education. We were the first ones to start education and schoolhouses. Whites didn't start that. We did in the South. We built our own shacks and educated our own, stealing books. There are northern whites who came to the South to take a model of how we were able to educate our kids so quickly after being released from the tortures and murders of slavery. Resistance at every level. At every level. Politically, we resisted. Economically, we stopped working on the farm. And then we poisoned our slave masters. We butchered them in their sleep when necessary. Resistance. We pushed Lincoln to emancipation. Remember, the Emancipation Proclamation was just a war. It was just a military. It didn't change nothing. No one was freed through the Emancipation Proclamation. It was only for those people in the states that they were free already. Another ruse. Another ruse. Know your history and get rid of the mystery. Tireless underground work by Africans and those committed whites who wanted to help and rid themselves of the guilt, the pernicious, horrible attitudes they wanted to be rid of. Yes, white people, but black people are the ones who did it. 260 U.S. colored troops. We won the war, and then we liberated ourselves, but it wasn't over. We needed some more, so we fought to change the Constitution, to amend the Constitution. And there are 3 amendments to the Constitution that allow you, my white, Latino, Hispanic brothers and sisters who continue to hold these racial attitudes, we gave 3 amendments to allow you to come here and call us niggas. One of the most important ones was the 14th Amendment. Yes, the 14th Amendment. It's called equal protection. You could not have come into this country without that amendment. It wasn't for you at first. It was to protect the rights of African people who just had themselves emancipated from 250 or 46 years of slavery. The 14th Amendment. Read your history. Take away the mystery. You couldn't have a store in the bodega. You couldn't have a Spanish Harlem. You couldn't have any of that without the 14th Amendment. We created, pushed it, and pushed it to its ratification. And you are here because of it. Let's chat a bit. And when I say that, I want you to know that I go to my friend, not a very good friend, but a friend who I call ChatGPT. Now, God, I know I've said this to you, but God willing, man, we have one of these things back in my day, I would be probably the president of the United States. Or at least a college university. You guys have the advantage, you new scholars, to shortcut a lot of scholarship, but don't get it twisted. You still must read, because ChatGPT is only what you give it. But I'm going to give you a list and I'm going to sign off. 19 minutes of movie. I will be back on later today to broadcast the meat and potatoes of this. But I wanted to give you a quick incident that happened to me by one of my Latinas while I was in Starbucks. I don't know why I'm in there anyway. I'm not really a coffee person, but my wife had me go there. Standing in line, waiting to get my drink. A young Latina is at the register. And this white woman was before me. Well, she couldn't be any nicer than that white woman. Then come from behind the counter, lay down her coat, and tell the white woman to please walk on my coat because you are God. She did everything in the world to be customarily servicing to this white woman. How are you? How you doing? How can I help you more? Can I maybe help you count your money? Never such effusive courtesy. It was incredible. I, standing in line next, was hoping to get less a tad of that. But next in line, what do you think I got? I got a Latina looking at me with a head cocked, looking me directly in my eyes. How can I help you? Not good afternoon, sir. How are you? Can I? No. Not it. No. And looking me dead in my eyes. So I gave her my order, which I wasn't sure of, and I asked her how many shots of caffeine is in that. Well, she couldn't really answer me, and then she made me say it again. Still head cocked to the side, looking me dead in my eyes, not a smile, a smirk. And finally I said, well, I'd like to have this, and I had it together, and that was it. And she asked me my name, because as you know, they put the names on the card. I gave her my name. And she kindly tabulated the cash of my card, and I went on to sit down. Well, now I'm sitting down almost 10 minutes waiting for my drink. At least 10 people walk by me and pick up their drinks. I'm now wondering what's going on. Well, the cashier, white woman, says and looks at me and says, sir, what did you order? I said, I ordered so and so and so forth. She said, oh, yeah? Well, here it is right here. I said, wow. You sure? She looked at the cup. The cup was very descriptive, what I wanted. And I said, but man, my name is not John. She said, but it's yours. So I picked up my drink, walked back over to the Latina, and I said, excuse me, ma'am, my name is not John. Oh, I'm so sorry. Her accent was so thick. Oh, I apologize. I did not accept her apology. I came home and I wrote a little review, sent it to the manager, and said to myself, when I get home, I'm going to tell this story to my Latino brothers and sisters so they can see the pathology, the psychopathology, psychopathy, the moral ineptitude, the social amnesia, the the lack of emotional empathy. I didn't say sympathy, empathy for us who more look like them than not. Then I go to a restaurant the next day and have another Latino refer to fish that we eat as nigger fish. Why? He thought, based on my appearance, that I was Latino. Though I was dark skinned, it was still okay for him. And when I finally said to him, he said to me, oh, are you African American? I said, yes, I am. No, 10 years ago, I would have just knocked him out. But my God has expanded my conscience enough to know that those things are not going to change anything. So I didn't. I continued to talk to him. Before you know it, he's showing me pictures of his fishing and stuff. But nigger fish. Until he found out that I wasn't African and not Hispanic, as he thought I was. Which tells me that when he's with other Spanish or Hispanic brothers and sisters, Latino that look like me, it's okay for him to use the N-word. All of this in one day. From who? Our Latino brothers and sisters. So folks, what are we facing here? I said to my cousin, my cousin texted me the other day, I said, you know what? You know what's the worst thing about these Latinos, particularly those who are supporting this white racial structure, is that though they're getting their asses kicked out of them right now, and many of them are crying and sorry, I believe that if another candidate come up who was Republican and maybe not as harsh as Trump, they'd vote for him again. You know why? See, I'm a psych major, and I know why. That's why I can salute it. Because they are pathological. Pathological. This is psychopathy, cognitive disrepair and impairment. You cannot clean that up with a campaign voting MAGA. That is something that is inherently a part of you and needs something that when things are that bad, like a disease, because that's what it is, it needs help. It needs therapy. So we're going to talk about that a little more, a couple of hours. What this means. I want to get into the dirty nitty gritty of this psychopathology, this psychopathy, this cognitive dissonance. So that our brothers and sisters, particularly our Latino brothers and sisters, those who are not a part of this, who know who they are, can maybe educate those around them. Because the black community is sick and tired of it. This is why you're having this conflict now with many Africans not participating with these Latinos in their struggle. Can't blame them. Here it is, 24 hours after I do my discussion, I become the brunt of microaggression on 2 different times in the same day. See, you can't destroy our humanity because we created it. We lent it to you. And unfortunately, you are not doing well with it. So you need help. So I should say, I'm going to have my next broadcast discussing this psychopathy, this psychopathology, this disease. And hopefully, this program on my next broadcast will bring you some enlightenment. Not that I expect it to, because I really don't give a shit. But I do care about my Latino brothers and sisters that love me and love us. So though I'm talking to the other branch of them, they are still a part of the family. Like those cousins you had, the drunk cousin comes over. He's a pain in the ass, but you love him too. I still love them all. Because I am African. And I know my history. It ain't a mystery. And I know yours too. So with that, I'm going to say, and hope to see you in a couple of hours. If not, maybe tomorrow morning. But you will get the second half of this. And I will say, Ashe. And have a wonderful rest of the day.